I finally managed to score a lower bunk ticket on the green train by paying extra. Before I could even settle in, an old woman and her entire family surrounded me. "Dear, you take the upper bunk. Give the spot to us." "Are you talking to me?" I looked at her in disbelief. Then I looked at my luggage, which took up half the bed. Besides the essential clothes, the rest were local specialties I was bringing home to my parents. There were 7 or 8 bags, big and small. "Do I really look like someone who wants to climb up and down?" Seeing me unmoved, the child's grandmother spoke with annoyance. "Can't you see there's a 5-year-old here? Can't you show some consideration for the elderly and the child? What, couldn't you find his parents? Are you coming to me to claim a mother? What nonsense are you talking? I'm telling you to get up there now. Give the spot to me and the child. Don't you know how to respect the elderly and love the young?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes. I just boarded and already met a weirdo. I actually encountered someone trying to force a seat swap. "Can't you see all my stuff? It's a voluntary principle, and I don't want to swap right now. Even if the chief conductor comes, it won't matter. Don't think you're special just because you're old." After saying that, I ignored her. "Where's the chief conductor? Someone is bullying an old person here." Oh, my heart. It hurts. Her crying out drew the attention of many people in the carriage. A flight attendant also hurried over from the front of the train. "What's going on? What's the situation? This girl refuses to switch beds. Pity me, a person nearly 60, and the child is still small. We have to climb up and down with her. She has no compassion at all." Her grandson followed suit, immediately taking control of the scene, wailing with a look of grievance. A passenger nearby frowned. "Isn't it just switching a bed? Just give in a little. It's not like you'll lose a limb. When traveling, don't make things difficult for the elderly. It's not easy for them." Someone else even started calling me out. I glanced at them. "I don't want to." "Is that not allowed? Which law states that because she's older than me, I must give in?" "If you want to give in, then you do it. Can't you put yourself in their shoes? If your parents were treated this way when they traveled, would you feel good? My parents have better manners. They don't go around stealing other people's seats when they travel. Rest assured." "Who are you calling unmannerly? Who are you talking about? Calm down, don't get physical. Please be calm. Let me go." She dared to insult me. I have to teach her a lesson. "Don't be excited, don't be excited. Let me first see if there are any vacant spots. Can I mediate this for you?" "Fine, I want a lower bunk. Ideally, a soft sleeper." I just thought it was hilarious. She even wanted a soft sleeper. This hard sleeper lower bunk was something I paid extra for. Soft sleepers were booked up long ago. She certainly has high hopes. Trying to sleep in a soft sleeper for the price of a hard sleeper. Sure enough, the attendant looked through the records and looked troubled. "Neither soft nor hard sleepers have any suitable spots left. How about you wait a few more stops? There will be empty beds by noon tomorrow." The child's grandmother suddenly snapped. "Noon tomorrow? I'm getting off the train tomorrow afternoon. You want me and the child to wait that long? Look again. Are you not looking properly because you're afraid of losing money?" The attendant was also a bit stunned. She didn't expect the grandmother's attitude to suddenly take a 180-degree turn. The onlookers also stopped talking. With this attitude, anyone would think the attendant owed her money. It's clear this old woman isn't a reasonable person. The attendant could only force a smile. "How about this? I'll keep an eye out for you. If an opening appears midway, I'll call you to move over, okay? But if someone else comes, you'll have to give it up. How will that work? I'm an old woman with a 5-year-old child. What does it look like moving us all over the place? What if we get hurt or bumped? Just tell this girl to give her spot to us. Can't you?" "Humph," I sneered. "She's not even pretending anymore. I'm not switching. I have a lot of things too. Is it convenient for me to move everything around?" The attendant saw both sides were at a standstill and for a moment, didn't know what to do. Fortunately, the chief conductor arrived. "What's the matter? If I'm not mistaken, your family is in this section. Upper, middle, and lower bunks. Right? So you and the child sleep on the lower bunk. And let your son and daughter-in-law sleep on the middle and upper bunks, right?" As soon as this was said, everyone realized the truth. Yes, they clearly already had a lower bunk. It was completely enough for the grandmother and the child. Why were they complaining? I thought it was just the elderly pair and the child here. I didn't expect the rest of their family to be here too. Why didn't they say anything? I felt something was off just now. This old thing wasn't polite at all. Acting as if that girl owed her something. "You have a lower bunk, what are you even thinking? Just sleep in your own lower bunk. Why are you trying to take someone else's?" Amidst the accusations of the crowd, the family of 4, looking very reluctant, each went back to their own positions. The chief conductor also dispersed the crowd and continued maintaining order. I breathed a sigh of relief. I sat on the bed playing with my phone, but my attention remained on the people across from me. This journey was destined not to be easy. Because from what the grandmother said earlier, They were traveling until tomorrow afternoon, meaning they wouldn't get off until near the final stop. So was I. That's a full 30 hours of travel time remaining. Having to stay with them. It was inevitable that some trouble would arise. Sure enough, hardly an hour had passed before the boy next door started making a fuss. I'm hungry. I want to eat something. His grandmother hurriedly fumbled a cold steamed bun out of her bag. Food on the train is expensive. Be good, Grandma brought you a bun. The boy looked very unwilling as he took it. He took only one bite. Then slapped the bun away. This tastes terrible. I don't want to eat this. Oh, listen to Grandma. Things on the train are expensive. When we reach the station, Grandma will take you to eat something delicious. The grandmother looked helpless. But the boy's eyes darted around, and he immediately set his sights on the gift bags next to me. I want to eat that. Give me that osmanthus cake. The boy was pointing exactly at what I had prepared to bring back as local specialties. I frowned and ignored him. The grandmother said, Young lady, my grandson wants to eat your cakes. Give him a couple. She didn't even offer to buy them. She just asked for them outright. No, I'm bringing these back as gifts. The grandmother was very displeased. Why are you so stingy? It was bad enough you wouldn't switch seats. And now you won't even give him a cake? Can't you see the child is starving? Then she started coaxing her grandson to keep wailing. I want candy. I want candy. I'm starving to death. This immediately drew complaints from the people around. I quietly put on my headphones and turned up the volume on my phone. The world became much quieter. The grandmother couldn't accept my silence. You are so inconsiderate. It's just 2 cakes. Let him eat them to satisfy his craving. You can still give the rest as gifts. And you bought so many. What's wrong with giving one less box? I remained unfazed. I continued browsing my phone. Since the grandmother couldn't convince me, she lowered her head to comfort the boy. Forget it. She's just stingy and won't give you any. Are you really going to keep begging her? She clearly hasn't seen much of the world. Wait until we get off the train. Grandma will buy you the exact same ones. I want them now. I want to eat them now. When the boy heard this, he angrily rushed over to snatch them. I quickly protected my gift bags. What is this? If you try to steal things, believe it or not, I'll call the police. The boy's eyes widened. He lunged and punched me. That punch wasn't light, and it hit my funny bone, making my whole arm go numb. You won't let me eat. You're bad, I'm going to hit you. Seeing that one punch wasn't enough, he raised his hand to hit me again. I couldn't help but give him a push. The boy stumbled and fell flat on his bottom. Suddenly, he cried even harder. What are you doing? How dare you? Lay a hand on my grandson. Are you looking for trouble? Your grandson hit me and you did nothing. But when I push him once, you suddenly care? An adult being so petty with a 5-year-old child. Have you no shame? I looked at her. Just as I was about to talk back, a girl's voice came from above. She handed down a bag of scallion crackers. Her tone was as warm as a spring breeze. The child is hungry, right? I have some crackers here, let him have some. Look, someone is much more sensible than you. Begrudging a little bit of food. You're truly obsessed with money. Is there no dining car on this train? If he wants to eat something, why don't you go buy it? If your child likes begging for food so much, I suggest you take him to a bridge. You might get more there. What nonsense are you talking? How could my grandson ever beg for food? Before the grandmother could lose her temper, the woman from above came down. I remember her, she just boarded at the last stop. She didn't know what kind of people this family was. Right now, this cracker sister was looking at me critically. I say, young lady, don't take out the frustrations of your job on others. He's just a 4 or 5-year-old child. What malice could he have? A little snack, if he eats it, he eats it. I squinted my eyes. This cracker sister must think she's doing something very noble. Exactly, I see she's so narrow-minded. She's probably an old maid. A piece of unwanted junk who will never get married. I didn't pay any mind to her. Insults like never getting married are things only the older generation still uses. Nowadays, what young person even wants to get married? Seeing that I didn't speak, Cracker sister patted the child's head. It's okay. Go ahead and eat. Sister has more. The boy ignored her and didn't even apologize. He just roughly tore open the packaging. He grabbed the crackers and stuffed them into his mouth, eating until his mouth was oily. Cracker crumbs fell all over the floor. It looked extremely messy. Cracker sister's brow furrowed slightly, but it seemed that to maintain her image, she said nothing. I just quietly watched the brat. Since boarding the train, he hadn't eaten anything proper. And at 4 or 5 years old, it's very easy to get an upset stomach with such a large box of greasy scallion crackers, eating them all down. If he drinks some cold water on top of that, I'm afraid he'll have a stomach ache tonight. This grandmother treasures the child so much. If the child really gets diarrhea, won't there be hell to pay? Without extorting 3,000 or 5,000, I'm afraid Cracker Sister won't even be able to leave. 3 hours after the train had been roaring forward, it finally came to a random stop in the middle of nowhere. At first, everyone thought it was just a brief stop, until the broadcast announced that heavy snow had blocked the mountains ahead. Multiple trains were stranded waiting for passage. It was expected that travel would resume in 6 hours. Please wait patiently. Hearing this, everyone was complaining. The green train was slow enough already, and now it's stopped by snow. Yeah, what are we supposed to do? Green trains aren't usually afraid of snow, but high-speed trains are. Some sections of the track are shared. If those trains block the way, the green train has no choice but to wait. What bad luck. I wanted to get home early. 6 hours. I didn't bring that much food. Looks like I'll have to go hungry for a meal. It's not a huge problem. Currently, most people could still accept it. Even I could. Besides the local specialties, I actually brought 2 bags of food, partly to satisfy my own cravings, and partly because I was afraid of delays like this. What's the situation? Why hasn't it started yet? 6 hours passed a long time ago, right? Exactly, how long are they going to make us wait? They're not tricking us, are they? Do you guys feel like the heating isn't working anymore? Is it running out of fuel? Everyone began to notice things were off. Speculation spread. Panic began to surface in everyone's heart. I pulled my blanket tighter. The temperature was indeed dropping. I didn't know if it was because it was too cold outside or if there was a problem with the heating cycle on the train. The conductor came to arrange things. The wind and snow ahead are heavy. Someone is already handling it. We'll be able to leave soon. What kind of joke is this? We've been stopped for 10 hours already. Do you know how cold it is at night? The heating is getting colder and colder. If someone freezes, can you take responsibility? And we haven't even eaten yet. Are you deliberately staying on the tracks? Just to wait for us to spend money on your food? Rest assured, everyone, as soon as we can move, we will leave immediately. Free meal boxes will be distributed later. There was a lot of chatter among the crowd. Everyone felt the train bureau was doing this on purpose. The conductor explained frantically, "What are we waiting for? Quick, let's go grab the food," someone shouted, and at that moment, everyone was scrambling forward, pushing and shoving as if their lives depended on it. Don't rush, there's enough food. Someone will get hurt. But no matter how much he shouted, these panicked passengers wouldn't listen. They only cared about getting forward, fearful that if they were half a step late, they wouldn't even get a peanut. Seeing this scene, I swallowed hard. In a state of disorder, extreme situations can easily occur. Although we had only been trapped for 10 hours so far, it hadn't developed to that point yet. But I was alone and had offended the family next to me. So I had to be careful. The grandmother next door saw me like this, and sneered. What, afraid someone will steal from you? Princess, if you don't go to the dining car to grab some, it'll be gone soon. Wait and go hungry. How could I dare go to the dining car? Not to mention the grandmother. Even the child's father was watching me, staring like a hawk. I was certain that if I dared to leave the spot, they would not hesitate to take all my food and divide it among themselves. And with the dining car so crowded now, even if I went, I wouldn't get any benefit. I might even get trampled and injured. I'm not stupid. Seeing that I wouldn't leave, the grandmother let out a cold snort. Let's go. Let's hurry. Don't let others get the upper hand. A full half-hour passed before they returned clutching bags and boxes, drinks and instant noodles. The people taking the money were overwhelmed. They just grabbed what they could. The child's father was still complaining. The grandmother agreed. Even at a time like this, they're still thinking about money, truly obsessed with money. Ha ha ha. She looked at me and scoffed. My dear grandson, eat this, Grandma grabbed it for you. There's even meat inside. The boy looked at the lunchbox they brought back. Eating this mushy mess? It looks terrible. It's not good, I don't want to eat this. Even the grandmother couldn't help but scold him. At a time like this, you're still picky? Do you know how hard it was to grab this lunchbox? I won't eat it. I want instant noodles. The grandmother sighed helplessly. Fine, fine, Grandma will make you some noodles. But by this time, the hot water on the train had also been mostly used up. The grandmother queued for a long time to get some water. After making the noodles, she came back complaining the water wasn't hot enough. The noodles won't soften. What do I do? The father didn't care. Just soak them longer, they'll soften. I watched silently and said nothing, until the boy impatiently opened the noodles, shoveling a forkful into his mouth. Then he spat it out with a wah. Dad, the noodles are so hard. His father smacked him on the head and took the spoon. Eat them even if they're hard. Eat them or don't. If you don't eat, you'll starve. The boy curled his lip. It seemed he didn't dare to cross his father. He managed to take 2 or 3 bites, then grabbed the ice-cold cola they had scored and chugged it down. I watched him silently. Let him carry on like that. He is bound to have diarrhea tonight. The boy seemed to notice me watching him. He looked up at me. Look at her, I won't give you a sip. You deserve it. Truly, like father, like son, and a mouse's son will only know how to dig holes. I scoffed. I lowered my head and continued playing with my phone. Let's see how many times you run to the bathroom tonight. In the early hours of the morning, the carriage was quiet. Everyone had fallen into a deep sleep, but the boy was tossing and turning on the bed, unable to sleep. Why aren't you sleeping? Why are you tossing and turning here? Are there fleas on you? Go to sleep. Grandma, my stomach hurts so much, I want to throw up. What? Oh my. It couldn't be indigestion, could it? I told you to eat the meal box, but you insisted on eating instant noodles. Look, if you don't listen to your elders, you'll suffer for it. But the more she rubbed his stomach, the more the child cried. It hurts so much. I have to go to the bathroom. He ran towards the bathroom while crying and shouting, waking up quite a few people. What's all the noise in the middle of the night? Can't you let people sleep? The child is sick. Can't you see? Has your family never raised a child? How heartless. The grandmother didn't apologize. Instead, she was self-righteous. As soon as they heard the grandmother's voice, they knew it was that troublemaker. They all simply shut their mouths. But that boy had indeed eaten something bad. Within just 2 hours, he made over a dozen trips to the bathroom, crying out in pain. There was no heating in the bathroom. Not only was he weak from the diarrhea, but his lips were also turning white from the cold. Until all the tissue the family brought was used up, the child was still not finished. In the end, they could only place the child on the changing table to wipe him down. Don't. The grandmother sat on the bed, comforting the child while complaining. It's all that woman's fault for giving you those biscuits this afternoon. It must be those biscuits that were bad. I could clearly sense. The person in the middle bunk above me shifted slightly, but she didn't dare to make a sound. I couldn't help but find it a bit funny when she stood up for the grandmother this morning. She wasn't this cowardly. Turns out Biscuit Lady is also afraid of trouble. Who knew the grandmother would see I wasn't sleeping and raise her voice again? It's all your fault. If you had given him the pastries at the start, would he have made such a fuss? I rolled my eyes in the middle of the night. Why don't you blame the steamed buns you brought? If you had brought pastries instead of buns, your grandson wouldn't have clamored for biscuits. If he hadn't eaten the biscuits, he might not have diarrhea. The grandmother wanted to talk back, but the child started calling for her again. I need to poop. My stomach hurts so much. My butt hurts too. There was no choice. She had to give up the argument and accompany the child on trip after trip. The water in the sink was actually ice cold. While the little boy had diarrhea, his grandmother held him down and washed him with cold water. When his butt got cold, he couldn't help but leak again. It was a total vicious cycle. By the time dawn broke slightly, the little boy's lips were already blue. He was so exhausted from the diarrhea. His lips were cracked, and his eyes were lifeless. His eyes were even more vacant. He could only whimper softly, unable to utter a complete sentence. I knew if he kept going like this, he might suffer from an electrolyte imbalance. I wasn't in the mood to remind them. Instead, it was the grandmother who anxiously found a train attendant. My child is almost dying of diarrhea. Are you all dead? Don't you know how to do your jobs? The attendant was stunned. Is that so? Did he eat something bad? How about some hot water? The grandmother shouted, what's the use of hot water? Quickly call a vehicle to take my child to the hospital. But the mountains are blocked by heavy snow outside. Vehicles can't get in. The grandmother's attitude was completely entitled. Then why haven't you arranged a helicopter? The attendant was dumbfounded. This place is in the mountains. Visibility is low. Helicopters could easily crash coming in. It's not suitable. The grandmother grew desperate. My grandson is like this. You can't just watch him die. Even if they crash, you have to call them. This was simply unreasonable behavior. The attendant looked at the little boy. I'll go see if there's any suitable medicine. But the emergency medicine on the train is usually for bruises and external injuries. Who would prepare medicine for a child's diarrhea? Hearing that nothing was found, the grandmother couldn't help but curse loudly. Is your train trying to murder someone? If anything happens to my grandson, I'll make you pay with your life. As she was cursing, the little boy's eyes rolled back. And he fainted directly on the bed. The attendant's expression changed. Heartbeat is slow, pulse is weak. Blood pressure is dropping continuously. The attendant was professional, while the grandmother shouted and slapped her thighs. Oh my! This train killed someone. Killed my grandson. If anything happens to my grandson, you must pay compensation. Pay up. At this moment, the boy's parents, who had been playing dead in the middle and upper bunks, finally heard the commotion and came down. The father held the child and pinched his philtrum. The mother hurried to contact the chief attendant. The grandmother was jumping and shouting there. But no one paid her any mind, only watching the spectacle. This made her go completely mad. She turned and saw me. Her expression changed instantly. My heart is failing. She lunged forward aggressively, aiming to slap my face. It's all your fault. Why did you have to save those pastries? Would eating your osmanthus cake have killed you or something? You ruined my grandson like this. You must give me an explanation. You must take responsibility. I was startled by the grandmother's actions. I instinctively backed away, but forgot this was a narrow carriage. I was nearly tripped by the edge of the bed. The attendant standing nearby reacted and grabbed the grandmother. He tried to reason with her. Your child clearly has gastroenteritis and diarrhea, leading to exhaustion from eating the wrong thing. She was right not to give him food. How did it become her fault in your mouth? If she hadn't refused the pastries in the first place, we wouldn't have let the child eat those. Damned scallion biscuits. The grandmother didn't care about any of that as she cursed. Once the scallion biscuits were mentioned, the grandmother suddenly got energized again. She turned to look at the biscuit lady in the middle bunk. Biscuit lady trembled with fear and shrank back, not daring to speak. The grandmother was clearly a person who bullies the weak but fears the strong. Did you do it on purpose? My child is so young. And you gave him such greasy scallion biscuits to eat. You just wanted him to die, right? You even said it wasn't enough giving them when I asked. You did it intentionally. Biscuit lady spoke up to defend herself, feeling very wronged. What nonsense are you talking? If your child hadn't been crying and wailing about being hungry, would I have given them to him? In the end, it's the family's fault for not managing the child. I was also acting out of kindness. Don't make baseless accusations. Hearing her defense, I just found it funny. When she was accusing me earlier, wasn't Biscuit Lady very indignant? And righteous? How come she doesn't feel the pain until the stick hits her own body? Alright, stop arguing. I'll go ask the passengers if there's a doctor among them. To see if we can get a doctor to handle this. Right, hurry up and call a doctor. I'll go with you. With that, the two hurried away to the broadcasting room to call someone. Soon, the train-wide broadcast rang out. Currently, there is a 5-year-old passenger on board, experiencing gastroenteritis, diarrhea, exhaustion, and symptoms of shock. Are there any passengers who are doctors? Please come to carriage 4 for treatment as soon as possible. Repeating once more. If any passenger is a doctor, please come to carriage 4 to treat a child as soon as possible. I stood in the corridor and looked around. Everything was quiet. At this hour, some people hadn't even woken up yet, and those who were awake minded their own business. It would probably be hard to find a doctor. But soon, I heard a series of faint footsteps from a distance. Taking advantage of this moment, I hurried to the vestibule between carriages. Sure enough, I saw a young man wearing glasses. Are you a doctor coming to see a patient? Is there a problem with your child? Where is the child? It's not me. I just want to warn you that family is unreasonable. Be careful. Who knew this doctor not only didn't take it to heart, but pushed his glasses up instead and began to size me up. I am a doctor. Saving lives is my duty. This patient is just a 5-year-old child. No matter what kind of people his family are, I will treat them. I don't know what grudge you have with their family. But regardless, this 5-year-old child is innocent. I hope you won't use such methods again to take revenge on others. Be a good person in the future and try to be more open-minded. Goodbye. I tried to advise him out of kindness, but I was lectured by this person instead. Just now, I clearly saw a sense of self-righteousness in his eyes. He probably thought that because of my issues with the child's family, I had specifically come to stop him. I shook my head. It's truly hard to persuade a well-meaning person who is walking into a trap. I followed behind the doctor and leisurely returned to my seat. The child's mother had already returned with the chief attendant. The little boy in his father's arms still had no reaction at all. Doctor, please check how my grandson is doing. Is he all right? I glanced at my bunk. Everything was still there, luckily, perhaps because I wasn't gone for long. And their family's focus was all on the child. The boy's father didn't think about stealing my things. At this time, the doctor was already kneeling on the ground to diagnose the child. It's nothing major, he just ate something bad. Did he eat too much greasy food yesterday? What did you give the child to eat? Upon hearing greasy food, the grandmother immediately became alert. Doctor, the child ate a large bag of scallion biscuits yesterday morning. Is it because of that? The biscuit lady in the middle bunk was seething but didn't dare to speak. The grandmother was truly prepared to blackmail her. If the doctor dared to admit it, she would definitely not let her off this train. By then, she would get skinned alive by this family. She wouldn't even be able to leave. The doctor shook his head. If it was just a bag of biscuits, it couldn't lead to such prolonged and severe diarrhea. And you said the biscuits were eaten yesterday morning, right? When did the child start having issues? He kept going until he just fainted. Then that's it. It should have been around dinner time. He must have eaten something greasy or drank something cold, which caused the gastroenteritis. See this? The tongue coating is thick and white. The grandmother's face changed. She clearly thought about last night, when she washed the boys but with cold water. But how could she admit her own mistake? The doctor had already stood up. From now on, stop all food and water. Only give the child small amounts of warm water and electrolytes. Wait until we get to a station to go to the hospital. He'll be slightly better then. The doctor's diagnosis was well-founded. And the solution provided was the most reasonable. Biscuit Lady also breathed a sigh of relief. She was finally cleared of the false accusation. She couldn't help but speak sarcastically. Luckily there's a doctor here. Otherwise I would have taken the blame for no reason. I might not have even been able to get off the train. The grandmother's face changed. What do you mean? You're trying to say this has nothing to do with you, right? Didn't the doctor just say? It's because the child ate too much greasy food last night. What does that have to do with me? Don't make baseless accusations. Don't think I didn't know. You prepared a cup of undercooked instant noodles for the child last night. If I remember correctly. The child also drank a large can of ice-cold cola, right? Stop talking nonsense. My grandson didn't eat anything yesterday. Except your scallion biscuits. When we reach the next station, you must come with us. You have to give my grandson compensation. Biscuit Lady rolled her eyes. Are you saying this doctor is wrong? Do you know more than a doctor? That's right. This doctor is unprofessional. He must be a fake doctor. Get out. Get out now. My grandson doesn't need you. The doctor was stunned. He only came to help save someone. And he wasn't even getting paid. Now he had been scolded for no reason. There was simply no reasoning with him. How can you be so unreasonable, old lady? Even if you want to blame someone, you need facts. Listen to what she said. Your grandson's diarrhea was caused by the instant noodles. And the cola. How can you just blame anyone? I didn't intentionally. Stop talking nonsense. Get out. Watch out or someone will call the police on you at the next stop. Sue you for extortion. Don't think the police won't arrest the elderly. None of your business. Go away, get out, you incompetent fool. The grandmother cursed loudly while pushing the doctor out. Before leaving, the doctor looked back at me. His expression showing he had something to say. I curled my lips. I had warned him already. He just didn't believe it. But right now, I didn't resort to sarcasm. Because I was afraid of getting targeted myself. While the grandmother took the child to ask the attendant for hot water and electrolyte drinks, I silently packed my luggage. Carrying my bags, I headed to the dining car. Biscuit Lady in the middle bunk looked at me but stayed put. I wasn't kind enough to advise her. The dining car had long been looted by the passengers. Only a few staff members were left, playing with their phones. Judging by their faces, they probably hadn't had breakfast either. Seeing me arrive, a man spoke up. There's no food here. Everything was snatched up. You should leave. I shook my head. I just came over to share a seat. Why? Did you buy a hard seat ticket? No, it's a lower bunk and hard sleeper. Then why do you want to sit here? Even a hard sleeper is more comfortable than these seats. I heard the dining car supplies were all snatched. You guys haven't had breakfast either, right? Have something to tide you over. What do you mean? Is this a bribe? The man spoke directly, his tone full of banter. He didn't sound angry at all. Instead, he sounded a bit expectant. True enough, after that group of lunatics ran in and snatched everything last night, they didn't even leave the staff meals. They had been hungry all night and had no energy left. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sitting here playing with their phones. All right then, miss, wait a moment. I'll call a few more people. The man hurried to call the attendants. from the surrounding carriages. They also locked the doors between the carriages to prevent people from seeing and coming to loot again. Finally, everyone gathered like thieves, acting stealthily. I placed my snacks on the dining table in the middle, so it wouldn't be easy for outsiders to see. The man was still laughing and joking. "Hey, miss. Why are you being so polite? Even if you didn't bring these snacks out, we would have let you sit here." I didn't say much. At least there were many people here and they were all trained staff. They are bound by regulations and reason. The people outside are all strangers, and conflict could occur at any time, especially since I had offended that troublesome family. I had to be on guard against them at all times. Now that the train was stuck in the snow-covered mountains, if anything really happened, the attendants wouldn't be able to save me in time, let alone send me to a hospital. So I was safer staying in the dining car. With food available, everyone poured a cup of hot water and sat together, enjoying the snacks. While talking about what happened in the carriage, I complained about my neighbors. A woman nearby suddenly realized. "Are you talking about a couple? With an old lady and a grandson? The grandson looks very sneaky and is especially greedy?" "Yes, that's them. It was them. You told them not to snatch, but they wouldn't listen." The father rushed straight in, opened our staff meal cabinet, and didn't even leave our staff meals for us. Later, their family snatched our meal boxes, but they didn't really eat them. They only picked out the meat and a little rice from each box, and threw the rest in the trash, even though we don't usually like train food. It shouldn't be wasted like that. He doesn't feel the loss because he didn't pay for it. But we are still hungry. So that's what happened. So the meal boxes the little boy refused to eat last night were actually these people's staff meals. I felt a bit indignant too. So the call over the broadcast earlier was because something happened to that grandson? That's right, he had diarrhea until he was exhausted. Serves him right, let that be a lesson. I don't know who was spreading rumors, saying we didn't stock enough vegetables. Actually, every train comes with pre-purchased meals. But because they snatched them like that, it ended up not being enough. Tensions were high, and everyone couldn't help themselves. It's good that none of you were injured. By the way, when will this train be cleared to go? The crew is still handling it. Probably soon. Don't worry too much. The tracks ahead are almost cleared. It's estimated we can leave after lunch. The man took a sip of warm water. He sighed with emotion. Luckily you brought some snacks. Otherwise we'd definitely faint from hunger by afternoon. I'm also afraid of trouble. So I'll wait here until we reach the station. You know that family. Don't worry. Just stay here comfortably. We've locked the doors. They won't come over to cause you trouble. I nodded. Okay, thanks a lot. Through a few boxes of pastries, I quickly made friends with the dining car staff. I was also given a long bench, where I could lie down and rest. My stomach was full, and I had drunk warm water. The heating in the dining car was on full blast, and soon I fell asleep again. After all, I had been alert and hadn't slept all night, so this sleep was very deep. Until a clamor of crying and shouting from outside woke me up. The voice was very familiar. It was the grandmother. Open the door. Open the door. Open up. Help. I frowned and sat up, quietly observing through the glass. I saw the grandmother with a mournful face, constantly banging on the glass of the dining car door, and behind her stood the father with a dark expression. The little boy in his father's arms not only had a furrowed brow and tightly closed eyes, but there also seemed to be some blood on the corners of his mouth. What's wrong? How did this little boy start vomiting blood? An unlikely thought emerged in my mind. The chef from the dining car walked over impatiently. What's the matter with you? This is the dining car, and there's no food left. It's no use coming here if you're hungry. The child is passing out. We need to find the doctor. Let us through. The dining car is carriage 8. I was originally in carriage 4. If they wanted to find the doctor in carriage 9, they had to pass through the dining car. If they passed through the dining car, they would see me. The man looked at me discreetly, and I quietly shrank back into the kitchen area, hiding from their sight. Once the man saw I was well hidden, he then opened the door. Thank you, thank you. Only after the whole family had hurried past did I emerge from the kitchen. Looking at their departing backs, the man patted my shoulder. It's okay, I'll lock the door again once they're gone. I didn't nod. I stood up mainly because I wanted to see what would happen next. Carriage 9 was the hard seat section. By this time, the train had been stuck for nearly 24 hours. The faces of the hard-seat passengers were full of resentment. Anyone stuck in such a narrow carriage, maintaining one position for so long, would be in a foul mood. And into this crowded sardine can of a carriage, a family suddenly barged in. And as soon as they entered, they shouted for the doctor. "Quickly, save my grandson. My grandson is dying." The grandmother cried and shouted, checking every seat and begging for a doctor, ensuring that every one of her cries could be heard by everyone. This only added to the crowd's impatience, yet throughout it all, not a single person spoke up. I didn't blame the doctor for not showing his face. The grandmother was far from reasonable. Say one wrong word, and she'd curse his medical skills, demanding he take full responsibility for a child he couldn't treat. How could he possibly afford that risk? But hiding wasn't a permanent solution. Soon, the grandmother spotted him. She lunged forward, identifying him as the doctor from before. "So here you are. Save my grandson, please." I don't know why, but he suddenly started vomiting blood. He's lost consciousness, and he's talking in his sleep. What do we do? I'm sorry. I'm out of my depth. I beg you, save the child. My grandson is my life. My whole life. If it's because of what I said earlier, if I made you feel bad, I apologize, I'm at fault. Please, don't make this difficult. Your child. I really am out of my depth. The doctor's expression was grim. Why? Just because I yelled at you, you're holding a grudge? Are you going to let my grandson die for that? The grandmother took the offensive, shouting deliberately, "I'm sorry. Do you want me to die, or do you want money? I'll give you anything. Just save my grandson." She began slapping her own face. Her words and actions pushed the doctor onto a moral pedestal, leaving him to face the condemnation of the crowd. The doctor's face turned even paler. The people around them were already on edge. They just needed an outlet for their frustration. "What's wrong with you, doctor? Are you even human, watching someone die? The patient is just a child. Just because they were anxious and said a few things, you won't save him? That's too cold-blooded. Which hospital are you from? I'll report him so he never works again." The doctor finally spoke up, shouting towards the child. "When I went to carriage 4 earlier, I told you all clearly. Before reaching the station, the child must not eat anything solid. Only small amounts of warm water or electrolytes. Wait until the station to get proper hospital treatment." The doctor paused. "So, why is your child vomiting blood? Don't you have a clue?" "I don't know. He was just lying there and started vomiting blood." "How would we know? We aren't doctors." "It must be because you didn't check him properly before. That's why he's vomiting blood now." The doctor hadn't expected this family to stick to him like an inescapable shadow. How could he vomit blood for no reason? There's only one possibility: he ate something. And it was something very greasy. Wait, what's this? Is this instant noodle soup? The grandmother tried to argue, but the doctor suddenly pointed at the child's collar. "Did you give the child instant noodles?" The moment those words were spoken, everyone's eyes shifted to the child. They indeed saw the wet stain, along with a bit of dried vegetable from the noodles. The expressions of the crowd shifted to realization. This was another case of the family ignoring medical advice. "What business is it of yours what my child eats? The child has a problem now, you must save him. Otherwise, we'll sue you for illegal practice. We'll make sure you lose everything you own. Believe me." The doctor took a sharp breath. He had tried to help out of kindness, and this family was trying to extort him. Only at this moment did he suddenly remember what I had said, what I meant by trouble. Driven by some instinct, he looked toward the dining car, meeting my eyes directly. The doctor's mouth opened slightly, and he mouthed a single word: "Sorry." I saw it clearly. He was saying he was sorry. I shook my head. It's a bit late for regrets now, isn't it? The grandmother was still making a scene, crying, screaming, slapping herself, threatening, and kneeling. The carriage was in utter chaos. The other passengers' expressions turned increasingly annoyed. Fortunately, the train staff arrived to pull the two parties apart. "Sir, ma'am, please return to your own carriage. Do not cause a disturbance here. My grandson is about to die. And you're worried about order? Make this doctor save his life. I can't save him in this condition. Get him to a hospital. At the next stop immediately, there might still be a chance. The doctor was firm. The grandmother, of course, wouldn't let it go. You just don't want to save him. You're holding a grudge because I said you're unprofessional. You're watching him die. What kind of doctor are you? Don't think I don't know who you are. Once I find out, I'll make sure you can't work anywhere in the country. She continued her verbal assault. There was no way to mediate on the spot. The crew had to call for the train manager, who tried to persuade and push them back. Unexpectedly, this move backfired. I was hiding in the dining car's prep area, originally safe. But as the grandmother turned, she caught sight of me. She glared at me. She wasn't going to say anything initially, but then she saw out of the corner of her eye the pastry boxes on a nearby table. The boxes were empty. Not a crumb left. And the lids hadn't even been closed yet. It was obvious they had just been eaten. You gave the pastries to these freeloading officials. But not to my grandson. The grandmother exploded instantly. She turned to me, eyes wide. Her tone full of disbelief. They're my pastries, I'll give them to whoever I want. If you had shared your pastries with him earlier, he wouldn't have eaten those damn scallion crackers. If he hadn't eaten those crackers, he wouldn't have had diarrhea until he was exhausted. If he wasn't exhausted from diarrhea, when he woke up, he wouldn't have been crying for instant noodles. If he hadn't eaten noodles on top of that, he wouldn't be vomiting blood and unconscious now. If you had been willing to share your damn pastries from the start, this wouldn't have happened. You are the culprit. You killed my grandson. You'll pay with your life. The grandmother's chain of logic was absolutely absurd. That grandson of hers, even if he had eaten the pastries, he wouldn't have been satisfied. It wasn't about being full. He was just greedy. He wanted to eat everything he saw. Gastroenteritis was inevitable for him. What are you doing? You failed to take care of the child yourself, and now you're blaming others? I don't care, it's her. If she had given us a box of pastries, my grandson would have just eaten those the whole way. And he wouldn't be like this. Oh, my poor grandson. This woman killed you. If anything happens to you, remember to hunt this woman down. I cleared my throat and said, listen, you old crone. Your logic is so backwards it's actually funny. What? What are you saying? The grandmother was taken aback. Is your family so broke that you have to beg for food the moment you step on a train? And when you can't beg, you steal? You're as shameless as a dung beetle in a mask. Moreover, you eat other people's food and then expect them to pay you? Are you disappointed you couldn't extort anyone yet? You're truly the most inhuman people I've ever seen. I've never met anyone so brazenly shameless. The doctor told you to give him only water, but you ignored him. Now that the child is half in the grave, you regret it? Do you know what too little, too late means? It's too late. And as for me giving pastries to the staff, so what? They eat to keep the train running and do their jobs. If your grandson ate them, he'd just vomit them up and waste them. In fact, if I had given him those pastries, he might have developed a bowel obstruction. And you'd still be blaming me. I hate people like you who can't do anything right and blame everyone but yourselves. If we breathed the same air, you'd probably blame me for infecting your precious grandson. Actually, you should be thanking me. You lot led the charge to steal the crew's meals. If I hadn't brought these pastries, they would have fainted from hunger by now. If they had to wait to recover before driving the train, your grandson would be buried already. How else would he still be alive now? I delivered this long tirade in one breath. The grandmother's face turned white with rage. She clutched her chest, groaning, oh, my. If you collapse right now, there's no doctor on this train who'd dare save you. After all, not everyone wants to be sued for illegal practice. The grandmother was caught between a rock and a hard place. She couldn't breathe properly. She was too scared to actually faint but too angry to calm down. She could only glare at me intensely. As she was escorted back to her carriage by the crew, the doctor sat down across from me, full of apology. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were trying to warn me for my own good. I thought you were just trying to stop me from saving someone. I shook my head and didn't say a word. He hadn't seen the whole picture. Driven only by his sincere desire to save a life, he wasn't really at fault. He was just a bit too naive. But I wasn't in the mood for small talk with a saint, so I focused on the snowy scenery outside. The doctor hesitated to speak further and didn't push it. However, he didn't leave either. We sat there in silence until the train finally roared back to life and began moving. A wave of cheers erupted from the passengers nearby. We can finally leave this hellhole. That's great. This journey has been so chaotic. Thank goodness we're moving. I heard we'll reach a stop soon. I'm starving to death. The crowd was buzzing with discussion. Even through the connecting carriage doors, I could hear their voices clearly. I felt a sense of relief in my heart, mainly because we were less than half an hour away from the next station. That troublesome family would get off there, and I would finally be safe. I could return to my own berth. The doctor seemed to be thinking the same thing. The tension on his face had eased considerably, and he looked out the window with joy. Suddenly, something happened. I heard someone running towards this carriage. Their footsteps heavy and urgent, barging through like a rampaging bull. As I looked up, I saw the child's father had returned. He was lifting a massive suitcase, which he swung towards the table. The doctor couldn't react in time, though he tried to dodge. The suitcase slammed violently into his shoulder. He cried out in pain. Looking back at the father, he was terrified. "Why are you attacking me? I want both of you to pay with your lives." The father's eyes were bloodshot with rage. I noticed something immediately. There was fresh blood on his collar, as if it had just been splattered there. The carriage behind him was in an uproar. It seemed something had occurred. Had he hurt someone else? Whose blood was that? Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind, the round face of the cracker lady. Could this man have attacked her? Before I could think further, the father stepped forward, grabbing the doctor by the collar, and started punching him in the face. One punch sent the doctor wailing. I saw the doctor's glasses shatter and fly, cutting his face in several places. His nosebleed and tears erupted almost simultaneously. My expression changed. I grabbed the suitcase on the table and threw it hard at the father. The father was hit squarely, letting out a muffled grunt. But he didn't fall. The fire in his eyes only deepened as he roared. He reached out to grab me. I quickly ducked to the side and ran towards the next carriage. There were more people there, and the train staff might be there too. At least they could provide some resistance. But I had overestimated my running speed. Before I could go a few meters, a massive force pulled me back. The man had a death grip on my collar, his fist, the size of a mallet, coming towards my head. I could hear the rush of air from the punch, and the gasps of the passengers in the carriage behind me. I thought, I shouldn't have tried to be a hero. Fortunately, the fist stopped less than 5 centimeters from my face and then suddenly pulled away. I turned around to see the train manager restraining the man. "What are you doing? Why aren't you leaving? You've already injured 2 people. Do you want to continue your crime?" The father was stumbling, even trying to fight back against the manager. The doctor managed to stand up shakily, nose still bleeding, trying to help break it up. I could hear more train staff arriving from both directions. From the prep area, the men and women I'd befriended earlier came out. Seeing the situation, they rushed over to surround and help restrain the father. I was sure they would soon have the situation under control. I finally let out a sigh of relief, my legs feeling like jelly. I couldn't help but slide down against the door. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, my legs are just a bit weak." 2 injured. One with facial injuries, not in immediate danger. The other has a broken arm and multiple soft tissue bruises. A crew member in the back was reporting the injuries. The one with serious injuries must be the cracker lady. My heart sank, just because of some unfounded suspicion. This man had dared to brutally attack other passengers. They really were a family of vipers. The manager nodded with a grim face. "Keep the mother and grandmother under control. Don't let them cause any more trouble. Hand them over to the authorities at the next stop." As he spoke, he looked down at the bloodshot eyes of the father and couldn't help but sigh. "Why did you have to do this? Now you'll be spending the new year in prison. My son is gone. Where am I supposed to celebrate the new year? What is there left to fight for? I must make these people pay for my son's life. None of them will get away. None of them." The father hissed through bloodshot eyes. He glared at me with pure hatred. I had no doubt that without the handcuffs, he would have rushed over to tear me apart. The manager didn't listen to his nonsense and had him taken away immediately. At the next stop, all the injured and this criminal would be offloaded from the train. When we finally reached the station, through the layers of people, I could clearly see someone carrying a small body, covered in a white sheet on a stretcher. So the brat really did die. He died for the sake of a few bites of food. He essentially brought it on himself, but perhaps he was also killed by his family's excessive indulgence. The grandmother followed the stretcher, wailing and beating the ground. Her raspy voice made everyone look over. Did someone die on the train? Who is that crying? The one on the stretcher looks like a child. Probably because this train was trapped in the mountains for over 20 hours. Before it could move again, could the child have frozen to death? Sigh. I wonder how much the Railway Bureau will have to pay now. And how much it'll cost to handle the public fallout. They owe a life. Every crew member on this train owes a life. They watched my grandson die. There was clearly a doctor on board. But they wouldn't save him. I'm going to sue them. I'll make them all pay. Ma'am, what exactly happened? If you're in trouble, you can tell us. We can speak up for you online. Don't be afraid. We'll help you. My grandson ate something someone else gave him on the train. And he developed gastroenteritis. He was vomiting blood and passed out. At that time, the train was trapped in the mountains. Completely unable to move. What do old people like us know? We could only ask the crew for help. But they wouldn't send a car or a helicopter. They just let my grandson get sicker. And there was a doctor on board. But he refused to save him. What kind of doctor is that? How could anyone just watch someone die? If we find out who he is, we'll report him immediately. Someone with such ethics shouldn't be a doctor. This is too much. Sue him. You must sue him. You absolutely must. Who is that doctor? Once we get on, we'll help you find him. We'll find out where he works. And sue him. I could feel the doctor beside me tremble. Shrinking back. He was clearly a victim too, but with just a few clever words from the grandmother. Those people were ready to tear him apart. Doctor-patient relations are already tense enough. And then there are people like this grandmother. Who twist the truth? As the grandmother reached out to point at the dining car. I couldn't stand seeing the doctor so terrified. You had no respect for his advice. You let your grandson eat whatever he wanted, and now that he's died, you're blaming the doctor? You even threatened to sue him for illegal practice. Your son was just taken away for attacking people, and you're still here spreading lies. Do you want your whole family to spend New Year in jail? At the end of the day, you were just too stingy. Oh, heavens. The villain is playing the victim. This is so unreasonable. You have the nerve to speak up. If you hadn't refused to give us those pastries, my grandson wouldn't have died. Hearing her cries, the passengers waiting to board glared at me. You're too much. Causing a child's death over a few pastries? Don't you feel ashamed? You should pay her everything you have. Young people these days have no heart. Film her. Expose her. Make her famous. Seeing the argument escalate, the staff inside the dining car stopped what they were doing. The man who was just taken away was her son. He was attacking people randomly on the train and nearly blinded the doctor. The staff explained that the family caused the child's death and were now trying to blame the doctor. Are you really going to help her with her lies? Hearing this, the crowd was stunned. If only I had said it. The credibility would be low, but when everyone says it, including the train staff, the credibility shoots through the roof. Why are you still here? Keep up. For spreading rumors and causing panic on the train, you're coming with us. Come along. How dare you arrest me? I have a heart condition. I'm an old woman. The train soon departed on schedule. As compensation for what I'd been through, the staff in the dining car served me a hearty, free-boxed meal, along with fresh fruit and braised dishes. I was set to get off at the next station. The doctor, who had been silent until then, stood up. Excuse me. Would it be alright if I got your contact information? I'm also getting off at the next stop. I'd love to invite you out sometime. I spoke up slowly and said, I have megalophobia. I'm afraid of things inside large buildings. The doctor clearly didn't understand what I was saying. After I finished speaking, he stood there in a daze for a long time. It took a while for it to sink in. But he eventually couldn't help but laugh out loud. It turns out, I'm a real legend.